morning, church. Thank you for tuning in to our Sunday morning Bible study here at Forest Lake Baptist Church. Hope you can join us in just a few minutes at 10:30 a.m. for worship here either on campus or online on our website, www.flbc.us. This morning, we're going to just pick up right where we left off in our journey through the first few chapters of Luke. And one of the things you'll notice as we kind of read through Luke, both in our Bible study and in our sermon series, is that over and over again, Jesus is going to say some hard things about what it means to follow Him. Some hard, difficult things about what it means to be a true, genuine, authentic follower of Jesus Christ. Like, He'll say things like, unless you sell all your possessions and give to the poor, you can't follow me. Or we'll say things like, unless you love me with a kind of ferocity and depth and faithfulness that makes your love for your kids, your wife, your cousins, anybody else in your family, if you don't love me with a kind of depth and fierceness that pales in comparison to how you love them, then you can't follow me. Or he'll say probably the most difficult thing, which is if you're not willing to lay down your life for me, you can't follow me. Okay, so over and over again, Jesus has some hard things to say about what it means to be a true disciple of Jesus Christ. And this morning, we're going to get another hard thing, another hard saying, another difficult teaching of Jesus about what it means to be a true, genuine follower of Jesus Christ. We're going to get it from Luke 6. Here's the truth. Christ calls us to love universally, sacrificially, and mercifully, especially those that we don't think are lovable, right? Especially those we would consider our enemies. So love sacrificially, universally, mercifully, love that way, and extend that love to your enemies. Let me show you this. If you have your Bible, Luke chapter 6, we'll start in verse 27. Luke chapter 6, we'll start in verse 27. The context here is this is Luke's version of what we get in Matthew that we call the Sermon on the Mount. This is Luke's version of the Sermon on the Mount that we get in Matthew chapters 5 through 7. And here's what we get. Luke chapter 6, starting in verse 27. But I say to you who listen, love your enemies. Okay, right off the bat, that's hard. Do what is good to those who hate you. Hard. Bless those who curse you. Hard. Pray for those who mistreat you. Hard. If anyone hits you on the cheek, offer the other also. And if anyone takes away your coat, don't hold back your shirt either. Give to everyone who asks you, and from someone who takes your things, don't ask for them back. So if I could put in a sentence what Jesus is after in this passage, here it is. Jesus is calling us to love those that we don't think deserve love. He's calling us to love those that we don't think deserve to be loved. He's calling us to show grace and mercy and compassion, not to those who think like us and talk like us and dress like us and vote like us and watch the same news networks we watch. No, He's calling us to love people who aren't like us. Because listen, it's easy to love people who are like us, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but I love me. And I love people who think like me and act like me. And so Jesus is calling us not to love those people. That's easy. That's an easy kind of love. He's not calling us to love those who are like us. He's calling us to love those who are opposed to us. To love those who are our enemies, to bless those who are our enemies, to show grace and mercy and compassion to those who are our enemies. He's calling us to love in a way that makes no sense to the world around us, in a way that's counter-cultural, in a way that would make other people look at how you love and ask, why do they love like that? Why do they operate like that? Why do they do that? That makes no sense. That's totally countercultural. That's scandalous. But in the end, that kind of love is a reflection of the kind of love that we've been shown in Jesus Christ on the cross. A kind of love toward people like you and me who didn't deserve it. So that gets us to the second kind of love that Jesus shows us here. Let's look in Luke 6, pick it up in verse 31. Just as you want others to do for you, do the same for them. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do that. And if you lend to those from whom you expect to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to be repaid in full. But love your enemies, do what is good, and lend, expecting nothing in return. Then your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High. For He is gracious to the ungrateful and evil. So here Jesus rattles off several rhetorical questions, and here's what he's saying. If you only love those who are easy to love, if you only help those who can help you, if you only bless those who can bless you in return, what good is that? What kind of love is that? Even the most wicked pagans do that. If that's the kind of love and help and blessing that you're after, what good is that? That kind of love isn't countercultural. That kind of love doesn't raise questions about the kind of gospel motivations that compel you to love in that way. That kind of love doesn't make people curious about why you operate the way you do, why you love those who don't love you in return, why you help those who can't help you, why you bless those who can't bless you. That kind of love doesn't make the gospel shine. No, God calls us in this text, Christ calls us not to a cheap, self-centered love. He calls us here not to a love that's selfish, but to a love that's sacrificial. That's the second truth here. Not only that love is universal, love everyone, even and especially those who you would consider your enemies, but love sacrificially. Love in a way that costs you something. Love in a way that doesn't expect anything in return. Love without reciprocity. That kind of love puts on full display the kind of love shown to us in the cross of Jesus Christ. The love of God for people who didn't deserve it. Love of God for people who couldn't repay it. Love of God for people who didn't love Him. Paul says we were enemies of the Lord, children of wrath. So that's a kind of sacrificial love that's on full display in the cross of Jesus Christ. And that's the kind of love that Christ is calling us to here. A love that's universal and it's sacrificial. That's the third one, though. Let's look at this. We'll finish out this passage, verse 36. Be merciful just as your Father also is merciful. Don't judge and you will not be judged. Don't condemn and you won't be condemned. Forgive and you will be forgiven. Give and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. So here's the third kind of love Christ is calling us to from these verses. Yes, a love that's universal. Yes, a love that's sacrificial. But third, a love that's merciful. He's calling us to love mercifully. So you don't miss the connection here between verse 36, where Jesus tells us to extend mercy just as God has extended mercy to us. The connection with that verse and the two verses after it, verses 37 and 38. So verses 37 and 38 answer this question. What does it look like to love mercifully? What does it look like to love in a way that extends the kind of mercy that we've been extended by God on the cross? And here's a little bit of how Jesus builds this out. Here's how He answers the question. What does it look like to love mercifully? Some suggestions from Jesus. Listen, don't criticize others in a way that you wouldn't want other people to criticize you. Don't become an expert on other people's failures and shortcomings and weaknesses in a way that you wouldn't want other people to become an expert on your failures, your shortcomings, your weaknesses. Be quick to extend and offer forgiveness to others that have wronged you, even if they don't initiate it, in a way that you would want other people to extend and offer forgiveness to you if you'd wronged them. So it's not a cheap, self-centered, me kind of love. No, it's a love that's merciful. It's a love that's gracious. It's a love that's generous. It's a love that approaches other people with open hands. Why? Because that's the way that we've been shown love. That's the kind of love that God has shown us in the gospel. A love that we didn't deserve, a generous kind of mercy, so that in the end, it's ultimately the gospel that motivates us to want to love universally, sacrificially, and mercifully. Now, here are two ways that I want to encourage us to think through and live out how to put this text to work this week. First, identify someone in your life that you find difficult to love. That you find difficult to love, or that you would consider an enemy, someone that you wouldn't go get coffee with, wouldn't grab lunch with, probably wouldn't hang out at the water cooler together. Identify somebody in your life like that and find one way to show them that you really do love them this week, if for no other reason than because Christ has called us to. So maybe it's a coworker. Maybe it's a boss. Maybe it's a neighbor. Maybe it's your landlord. Maybe it's somebody. Maybe it's that person who always finds something negative to say about everything you post on Facebook. I'm guessing that all of us have that one person in our life that if we're honest, we're just going to have to be real about it. I find that person difficult to love. And then this week, find some way to show them that you love them. Listen, maybe it's something as simple as just praying for them this week. Nothing will bust up some animosity and hatred towards someone else like praying for them, going before the Lord on their behalf. Maybe it's something as simple as praying. Maybe it's something as simple as just shooting them a text, writing an email, giving a call, sending them a Facebook message just to say, listen, I'm thinking about you. I want to know how you're doing in this difficult season. I appreciate you. Not anything complex, just a tangible way to show someone in your life that you struggle to love, that you would consider unlovable, that you really do love them because you've been shown love. So that's the first way I would encourage you to play out, to live out this text this week. The second is this: bless someone this week. Bless someone this week without any expectation that you'll be blessed in return. So bless somebody without expecting reciprocity. So in my life, here's how this plays out. Every week I go grab coffee or lunch or dinner with a college student or two. And because they're college students, they're not raking in six figures, all right? So it's an easy thing for me to say, listen, I want to bless you with this coffee or this meal, and I don't expect them to repay me in any way at all. That's just me wanting to bless because I've been blessed. Maybe for you, blessing somebody this week looks like just buying a cup of coffee or a meal for that homeless man or woman that you drive by on your way to work every day. Or maybe it looks like leaving a generous tip. You're probably going to go to lunch at some point this week. Why don't you just leave a generous tip for that person, that your server who's doing the best they can to make ends meet in this difficult season that we're in? And by generous tip, I don't mean 10%. All right, I mean 20, 30, 40, the kind of tip that would bless your heart, that would bring you to your knees in gratitude if you received it, making $2.16 an hour. So bless somebody this week that can't bless you in return. Now, if you're going, but man, I'm broke. Like, how do you bless on a tight budget? Listen, I got you. A couple of ways. Blessing those around you this week might look like just bringing your neighbor's trash can back up from the road as you bring back yours. Or maybe it can just look like something like writing someone you know an email or a little note just to let them know that you care about them, that you love them, that you're thinking about them, that you're praying about them. Maybe it's a coworker who's stressed at work. Maybe it's a neighbor who's lonely. Find someone in your life to bless in that way. Maybe blessing looks like just taking brownies or cookies or kale cakes, if you're into that, to the office. Just to bless your coworker, your supervisor, those that you do life with, not expecting anything in return, just to say, man, I've been blessed, I've been shown grace, so I want to extend that kind of grace to you. There are all kinds of ways that we can show those around us that we love them and that we can bless them because we've been loved and because we've been blessed in the gospel of Jesus Christ. So be intentional and be creative. Look for ways to love and bless this week. So identify someone who's difficult to love and find some way to show them that you love them. And then just bless somebody this week without expecting anything in return. And be intentional about it. Be creative about it. And as we do, we'll be walking in joyful obedience to Christ's command in this text to love universally, sacrificially, and mercifully. Let's pray. Father, thank you for your sacrificial, merciful, gracious, compassionate love toward us. Pray that as individuals and as a church, as we scatter throughout the city this week, you would make us a people who love generously, who bless generously, who show mercy generously, who are known by the way that we love without reciprocity. We bless without expecting anything in return. We help the helpless. We go after those who might be on the margins, who can't offer us anything in return. So help us to identify somebody this week that we can show love to, that we would consider unlovable. And just help us to remember in that moment that we're showing love to that person that we would consider unlovable because you showed us love when we were unlovable. And help us to bless this week. Help us to find some creative, intentional way to bless someone in our life, whether it's financial or not, just to be a reflection of the kind of blessing and mercy you've shown us in Christ. We love you. We need you. It's for your beautiful name we ask all these things. Amen.